I'm okay to come out now. Yeah. Is it safe to come out?
Give it another 12 months.
Okay, I'll see you in a bit. No, I'm only joking. Anyway, yeah, here we are. Season 1, episode 20 of UK Cowboys TV. And yes, it's the post-game show versus the Jets. And yeah, we're pulling faces and sucking a lot of air through our teeth at the moment. But yeah, we'll get into this then. Cowboys. Yeah, well, hold on. We'll all have a drink first. Ow. Yeah. Cowboys lose. So it's a 3-game losing streak we're on now. We lost to the Jets at the Meadowlands, 22-24. I mean, I was going to try and do something quirky, but I just don't really feel like it, if I'm honest with you.
I know. It's becoming a recurring theme, isn't it?
And also, it's Monday as well. So,
yeah. Rain.
The first 3 weeks of the season, every Monday, and I was feeling so happy. Now it's just like it's meme central. You're getting memes sent to the goddamn Jets sent to you 24/7. It's not good. It's not good.
The goddamn Jets, and I did sort that out, Jamie, just so you know. So that'll be on there. Yeah, you'll see. But we do have some injury updates. Byron Jones, Anthony Brown, and Amari Cooper all left the game with injuries. Amari Cooper, we have got an update. I was having a look a bit earlier. He's got a quad or a thigh bruise. Doesn't sound like it's going to be long-term, but I don't think he'll be playing in the Eagles game by the sounds of it. Anthony Brown and Byron Jones both left the game. But on a positive note, is Jordan Lewis entered the game due to one of the injuries and got an interception. So this game, we won the turnover battle for a change, which is something we was mentioning last week. But we're talking there about the defense. We'll look at the offense first. And as you can see, we have Mr. Paul Stewart with us. He was our very first special guest. He's now going to be a permanent resident of the show. So welcome to a permanent residency, if you like, at UK Cowboys TV, mate. So we're going to go straight into, he's got his courage, Cowboys courage there. We'll go straight with the offense, mate. MVP for the offense. Who have you got? Why?
Nearly say it's an easy one. It has to be Zeke. He was the one who was driving the offense up forward. I just felt as though our wide receivers kept dropping the ball. Even Jason Witten was dropping it, which I was really surprised about. But it just seemed like Zeke was the only one that was driving the ball forward and managed to put points on the board. You know. But, don't know really much else I can really say. I suppose Dak, in a way, he did try his best. He did, but there is some good and bads what Dak did. But from what Zeke's done throughout the whole game, you need to give it to him. Really, he was our offensive MVP in my opinion.
Okay, Jamie, agree, disagree, or have you got somebody else?
Nah, I think Paul pretty much hit the nail on the head. Zeke once again consistently over 100 yards. At times, Dak was pretty good, but majority of the time it was gash. The O-line was gash. Receivers were gash. So, yeah, Zeke.
Zeke. All right, then. So, I posed a question to you about Dak, okay? Now, I've got a little saying here that Dak, right, for me, he's not the issue on the offense. But, on the same note, he's also not the solution. Okay? Now, with Dak, his first 3 games, you're talking MVP caliber season. The next 3, that form is suddenly gone. Can anyone explain why or what you think is the reason for that? I mean, if you want to head us off, Paul.
It's a really hard one to say. Like when you really do break down the games that we did lose to, like so New Orleans, Green Bay, and now the Jets. Stats-wise, more particularly the Green Bay game.
Yeah,
his yards were up for God knows how many. Like his stats was ridiculous, just despite how much we lost. like the minute. But it's really hard to point. I still think it's really hard to point the finger, but I still think it's more to do that the receivers aren't doing enough to help as well. They're trying to like let Cooper take up the load of getting like double coverage and stuff like that, and then the other receivers get separation. I don't know if it's something to do with that. I don't know, but in terms of Dak, it's a really hard one, man. A really hard one to really answer, but I don't know. But what are your guys' thoughts on that? Because I'm struggling to find the answer myself.
Yeah.
I think you've got to look at the coaching as a whole. If you look at and no disrespect to the first three teams we played, but I wouldn't say they were as a high caliber of somebody like a Green Bay or a New Orleans. And I think I mentioned it a couple of weeks ago. I don't know if the team started to believe a little bit too much in the hype, and then this has probably come down to the coaching. The coaching is like, yeah, you know what, we can pretty much beat these teams. And I think last night we come completely unstuck. We become very rigid. We become very predictable again. I don't know if that's Jason Garrett is pulling the reins in and he's saying, look, I've got this young offensive coordinator who, over the first few weeks, yeah, we didn't play a high caliber team, but he completely opened the playbook, and it was like they had a new lease of life. And last few weeks, it's been reined in, and I think it's a lot to do with coaching.
Yeah. If there's something else something I want to add in as well. The Rams right now, they're 3-3 right now, right? But no one's talking about Jared Goff. He's playing well and he's playing bad. It's like it just seems like, I know it just seems to be like you saw this morning, Stephen A. Smith go on First Take, going off his nut, wearing the cowboy hat, mocking Shannon Sharp as well. It just seems to be us. Because we are essentially America and the world's team, and we're getting all the haters pretty much, and that's what's I think that's one of the reasons why it's getting that level. People want to get Garrett fired and just jump to conclusions and that, but at the end of the day, I'm not actually that worried, really. I was just listening to Nate Newton on Hanging with the Boys just like 15 minutes ago. They made a valid point. It's like we were 5-3 last year. After, and when Garrett made the silly decision against the Houston Texans, we were like, fire Garrett. It was 4th-1. Why did he punt it? All that type of stuff. Same scenario. But we still made the playoffs. And Dak had a stellar second half to the season. So I'm not worried. So there is issues that needs to be fixed, but but it's like you're saying there, Mike. I think it's up to the coaches to really identify why that's the problem, and they need to step up and also tell the players to improve on certain aspects of their game. Like, for example, the catching in that game. Like how many drop balls did we have in that game?
Oh, it was crazy, yeah. There never seems to be as well like this kind of I don't know if medium pace is probably the right way to say it. It's either we're really good or we're really crap. We're never in between, and it's trying to find that happy medium. When we're not really on his game, we don't drop to a really below par standard, and that's what we seem to do when there's backs against the wall sometimes.
Yeah, well, I mean, in terms of Dak, if you ever notice, it seems to be when we fall behind, it all seems to go wrong. So that was why I'm asking this. That do you think Dak is the sort of quarterback that can handle adversity when the team seems to be all going wrong? He can't bring it back together. I know he's had a lot of game-winning drives. That was something we know about. But I mean, like, what we've seen when the team's imploding, he's not the sort of guy... He's not the sort of guy that'll bring it all back together. Sorry, guys.
That's all right.
So do you think he's the sort of guy that can bring a team back from adversity at all?
Yes, and given time. Like, remember, Romo was the exact same situation his first couple of years as well. Like, remember, like, football is a learning game, and people are so cutthroat. It is a cutthroat sport, but when you're pretty much the face of the franchise year by year, you are going to make mistakes, and it's how you come about and fix them. And yeah, I definitely think that can definitely turn things around. I've got every faith in him, but he's not. But we'll run into the question about that later on about his value and that. But you know what I mean. That's I definitely feel as though that can change things about. He has the, what's the right word for it? He does have the drive for it. You see him always talking about game film and stuff like that. He he does his best in the game room, does his best at practicing that. But there's just that missing thing. It's right on the spot. It's that how to come where things are fault. I don't know if it's just. It's hard to describe, but it's just that one wee thing that it's just seems to be just missing just now, and I think that just comes over time.
Yeah, no, of course. But I mean, I got one for you, Jay. Right? Stephen Mountford asked this one, which is a Dak play. So is this Jason Garrett? Was it obviously something that the offensive side, the coaching side there on the offense put together, or was it Dak's execution with that fourth down call? So when they're in the Jets 10-yard line and Dak decided to run it, was that down to Dak or the coaches then?
I'm probably going to say it's probably the coaches, because I think if you look over numerous years going back, the coaches for some reason don't seem to let the quarterback off the leash. Now, if you look at quarterbacks around the league, so like your Tom Brady's, your Drew Breeses, yeah, they might call some plays in there, but they get that freedom to open the playbook, and if they see something different they don't like, they can kind of improvise at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah,
it doesn't seem like we've had even when Tony was the quarterback, it never seemed like that. It was like the coaches have to have the run of this offense regardless of who you are. Now, if, and I know Paul kind of pretty much mentioned, and I know you said about that, but if you're talking about extending Dak for the amount of money that's being talked about, you have to let Dak have free run of this offense. Yeah, give him some insight, but I'm sorry, if you're going to pay a quarterback 40 million, I want him making calls out there. I want him not being a puppet, so to speak. If he sees something, change it. He's like I said, the face of the franchise. It's his ship. Let him steer it.
Well, I mean, one thing I saw a lot of, which I'm surprised something Dak didn't do, was when they were playing a lot of the running plays, and it was starting to frustrate me in a way that I don't know if you guys noticed it, but they had Zeke running the ball into 8-man and even 9-man boxes, 9-man fronts. Like, at that point, either the coaches need to be shouting out or Dak needs to be reading that, because he was constantly being run into that. I mean, that's screaming for them to pass it on a 9. He was running into 9-man fronts at some point.
I know that's the type of scenario where you want to throw like play action, like no play action. You just basically let the defensive line through and just throw it to Zeke more than anything.
Yeah. There was another one, wasn't there? Was it? I think was it a 3rd and 11, and he tossed it.
Yeah.
It's not going to work. No disrespect to somebody like Zeke or anybody like that, but it's not going to work, and that's why you need to let Dak call what he sees at the line.
Yeah.
Because
I know that particular play as well, because
it's not being disrespectful to coach.
See the way though, Jamie, I do kind of understand why they may have done that though, because 9 times out of 10, 3rd and 11, you expect them to pass, so you expect them to drop back, but the Jets have obviously done their homework and kind of like, it's like, nah, we know the formation, we know what they're going to do, they're actually going to run the ball and think they can outsmart us pretty much, and that's exactly what's happened.
I get that. I just think more, it seems like it gets called in and it's like, you run this regardless, and we've seen sometimes a lot of the play action works, and you say getting Dak a bit outside the pocket, but it just seemed like a bonehead play. Like I get what you mean, and sometimes a team's not expected to run it, but how many times last year were we 3rd and 12, and the drop one over the top to a slot receiver for 3 yards. If you want to really get out in this league and want to do what New England are doing and dominate, you need to go out there and have a bit of balls about it.
Oh, sorry, Mike. It was a screen pass I was telling you about. That's the type of pass I was meant to say. Screen pass.
Yeah.
It just light bulb there.
No, I'm with you. When it comes back, when it's on the tip of the tongue and it comes back, you got to let
Yeah.
it.
Well, I've only had half a can as well. Christ.
It's because you're getting older. As you get older, booze hits you quicker.
And being
welcome
retired.
Welcome to your first permanent show, and he's digging on your age here. It's all right, isn't it? Welcome to the team.
Wait till we come to the fringe and he starts drinking. I get proper abusive then.
Yeah.
Oh God.
We'll show you how to drink.
Sure you guys can catch up with me?
Hey Paul, we've got tails when you came down here.
Yeah. So Mike told me.
I got tails that came back here before Paul did. When he went to America.
Yeah.
You should have seen him when he came down here a few weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
Well, do you know the story? I tell you what, we'll tell the story at the end of the show.
Yeah, we'll save the funny parts to the end and leave on a high note.
Yeah, actually, it's probably fair in it because, like you say, it's going to be a doom and gloom show, and we don't want to hand off to Laura and the crew having all this whinging and whining. I mean, we need to send some positive vibes over to them.
Yeah, all right then. So we was talking about obviously Dak's issues in the game. Now, one thing that has changed quite a lot over the last couple of weeks is the O-line. So do you think perhaps that's causing a lot of our offensive woes?
A little bit, yeah. I think
a little bit. I think the guys that came in, besides Cameron Fleming, who I think is absolutely rubbish, to be fair. No disrespect to him, but everyone else, like I can't even pronounce his name. Is it Silafu? Silafilo. Sorry. Whenever he comes into the line, like he always puts us in a good shift. And the other guy that just came in last week to replace Lyle Collins, he's actually put on a good decent shift. He actually made some good blocks and some good pass protection. I was actually I thought he was quite undersized for playing his position, but no, he's actually done a good fair job.
Yeah, you're about 9, aren't you? So yeah.
Yeah, 9. Yeah.
Yeah, he came in as well. Like when did Collins go out last week? Like about halfway through the game.
It was halfway through the game, but not to say it was Knight that kind of sparked up the O-line, but it just seemed something different. It seemed like we just were more in a more urgency when we were down when Lyle Collins went out for some reason. I don't know if you guys kind of got that same feeling.
No, I said it last week. I was quite surprised when Knight came in. I was like, wow, he's actually holding his own over there.
Yeah, I guess they're really good. I really guess they're really good dealing.
A sneaky find too. But what about you, Jay? What do you think of the O-line? Do you think that's the issue? Dak's playing bad?
I think they've got to probably take a slice of the blame. And I think the old saying goes, "You win as a team and you lose a team." So when one man doesn't do his job, I mean, it has a knock-on effect. I think we touched on it a little bit last week, and no disrespect to kind of the backups, but we've been so blessed over recent years to have such a great offensive line that when somebody like a Tyron Smith kind of maybe has to come out of the game, or a Frederick, we just haven't got kind of somebody of that caliber to kind of step in, and it has that knock-on effect. So I think we're probably more spoiled than that, but yeah, I think a little bit of the share.
Yeah, I'm just currently looking at the stats just now. According to after 6 games, Dak Prescott's been sacked 7 times so far this season. Compared to I don't know how many it was last year at game 6, but it's definitely cut down a bit.
But so, if you think like how many sacks he's had, when you go back and you think, well, what does that equate to in pressures? you're probably looking twice as many.
Yeah, that's true, actually.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's going to affect the game. But here's a sneaky start, since you're looking at stats, I found out.
Okay.
We always seem to start off slow, right? In the first half, right, the Jets were beating us 21-6. So the Cowboys at the moment in the first half have allowed 47 points and scored 9.
That's something that needs to be addressed. That
Isn't that crazy?
We cannot start every game slow, complacent, unaware. It just seems like we're sleepwalking.
If you have aspirations,
Nate Newton said that actually. He said that about the show. It's like we're sleepwalking.
I think if you have aspirations, don't you, of winning the Super Bowl, that stat is unacceptable.
Yes,
huh?
Absolutely.
You're not going to win a Super Bowl that way.
And we was going over that last week. I don't know if you remember, Jay. We went over the turnover differential. So you tie in that with our first half performance. And I was speaking to Jane Slater about it as well in the week, saying, what can you think of a reason? And really, to me, the only thing I can come up with, which is what we talked about last week, is only down to 2 things. Either the coaching staff are over-preparing or they're under-preparing. And then when the game starts shifting and moving around, and then all of a sudden we get into this hole, they haven't got a plan to get themselves out that hole. That's the only thing I can think of.
It's funny that you mentioned that. Did any of you see Des Bryant's tweet today?
Oh, yeah.
I missed that.
He got a bit thingy, didn't he? He was having a personal dig again, wasn't he?
He was having a dig, saying, talking about too many meetings. I'm sorry, but for me, Nate and everyone else in Hanging the Boys made a valid good point, saying, listen, it doesn't matter how many meetings are, it's still mandatory. It's study as much as you can. I don't know, over preparing for a certain scheme, and they might change it for that one particular week, but it's all about, if you're studying film about yourself and making those mistakes, spend as much time as you want, spend as much you can to adjust your own mistakes. But when it comes to scouting and stuff like that, you only have so much to work with.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? By end of the season, you'll have a lot more game film. You know what I mean? It's as the season goes on, the more you need to kind of prepare in case there's new installs from week 4 and week 5 and onwards. If you're playing, who are we playing? We're playing is it the Redskins last or is it the Eagles?
I think it's the Redskins last, isn't it?
So say if we're going to the Redskins and pretty much Dave within
Redskins last.
Week 10 and week 12 and week 14, they've added new installs under this new coach, and that's another thing as well. With this new coach, had is put out a new scheme, so it's we've only got so much to work with to understand what they're kind of trying to do. It's
I know, all you can say is but I tell you what, let's move on to the defense, because we've really dug into the offense there of some of the issues.
Well, we didn't talk about Brian Maher though. Let's just move on, shall we?
I did say that we talk about it, but let's just say he tied the Cowboys record for the longest field goal.
Yeah, but then he missed the 40.
He missed the 40. Was it 41 yards? Was it 41?
Crazy, isn't it? Crazy. And you think about it, he made that field goal and we score that touchdown and kick the extra point, game over.
I know.
Exactly. This is where I talk about, where I mentioned about these bonehead coaching decisions. I think what was it, just before half time, we were 7-3 and we went for it at fourth down instead of kicking. We mentioned last week, all it takes is something like a field goal to give the team a little bit of confidence going into half time. But no.
Yeah.
Let's go for it instead.
I mean, ironically, he was only our point scorer, for the most part. We were, we were 9 points. You just banging them over. But anyway, let's leave Maher because it's just.
Is that too much?
We could do an entire show. We'll save it for the Brett Maher show. when we do that episode.
Yeah.
But yeah, defense. All right, Jay, who was your defensive MVP of this game?
Well, to be fair, there was only one player that even half stood out for me, and that was Quinn.
Yeah.
Nobody else again. And
yeah,
what's even more disappointing about it is, and I know he probably commands a bit of double coverage, but we've just paid a heck of a lot of money on another end, and he seems to have gone missing.
He's getting double teamed a lot, mind.
True, but somebody of his caliber should be able to deal with that. If you pay him all that money,
you would think.
You
don't really pay him so much. Like the chunk of his salary is not to take double team and be missing out of the game. You're paying him that amount of money to call.
So the other side to look at is he plays on the right as well.
True, but
not to mention,
you're paying him that he's got to be more disruptive.
Not to mention as well, did Lawrence not miss the whole majority of training camp?
Yeah.
So there's the fitness levels as well. Like, he should be still fit as like up to here in terms of his fitness and stuff like that. But it's still reps mean everything. Like,
true.
I mean, how many first team reps did he really miss out on? A lot during training camps. So I think it could be down to that. Like, it could be, but not to throw in excuses. But not to throw in excuses, but it's still not good enough. Our line needs to go up because it seems to be the type of defense that we were running last year with the like putting the pressure on the quarterback. It was helping everybody out, and this is one thing I'm just trying to point out. We're kind of losing the name, the Hot Boys right now.
I agree.
And I was getting really annoyed with the 49ers trying to steal the moniker from it. You know, they've done their own branding and stuff like that, and I was like, who are these fools? But to be fair, I can't argue now. They're 5-0 and we're 3-3. So
and looking at what they just done to the Rams, that defense.
I know.
They're under the radar with the Niners. They're under the radar. They've shot a lot of teams this year.
Oh, that's the thing. Who would say the 49ers were going to go 5-0 right now at this point in the season? No one. Yeah. Absolutely no one.
Them and the Patriots. You know what I mean? Madness. But I mean, in terms like we're saying that, do you think then, although Quinn got to we had Quinn get 2 sacks, Van Der Esch and Sean Lee sharing a sack. Mm-hmm. Do you think that was enough to put the pressure on Darnold, or do you think we should have got into his face a bit more?
Definitely in the centre. I just feel as though the pocket wasn't collapsing enough. Like there should have been times where if there was enough pressure, like that pass to Robbie Anderson should never have happened. No. That should have never have happened. And from many point of views, like there was Jeff Heath trying to play catch up, and fair play to Byron Jones. He was the one that tried to run back as fast as he could in that play, but still it goes back to the front four. They just didn't put enough pressure on Darnold.
I know we touched on it last week a little bit, and yesterday just proved it. We don't have in the middle probably an ideal big nasty run stuffer or somebody like that, like you said.
Someone to take a double team all the time.
Funny enough, it was one of the questions that was in our mailbag last week, but I've actually kept hold of it. When we get into the off season, it was more of a draft question, so I like to save them for when we get into the draft season. But I mean, in terms of you're talking about the deep pass there, the defensive backs, and especially Chris, he's a bit of a tongue twister sometimes. Chris Richard.
Yeah.
So is he losing that defensive back battle at the moment? Do you think that he seems to be a different coach this year, which is one of the reasons we seem to be letting up? Like, look at Chidobe Awuzie, right?
Yeah.
Like, that guy is just, at the moment, screaming penalties. This is something that we talked about. I think it was on when you were on the show, Paul, that we were saying that he seems to be the guy that is always in position. He's on the wide receiver's hip.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the catch point, he's gone. He's nowhere to be found. And the only thing he'll do is foul and call a penalty, and you get a DPI or a holding call. So in terms of defensive backs, is Chris Richard losing that side of the battle at the moment?
To a certain extent, possibility. I think he's not. I don't think he's been hard enough on his unit right now, particularly Awuzie, to say, listen here, you're doing this, you're doing that wrong, you're doing this wrong, fix it. Work on this, work on that. Like, that's for Richard to tell him what to do, what he's doing wrong.
Yeah.
And it seems to be it seems to be happening nearly like just recently now. It seems to be getting this, maybe you're talking about at least one penalty per game, or maybe two, depending. But
what do you think, Jay?
I think it's a mixture of everything. I say, like, I don't know if there's a bit of confidence back there, but also with that front seven maybe not playing to a high level that we know that they can play at. So they're probably taking on a little bit more work than you would maybe expect. So I think it's a bit of both. Yeah. Confidence and maybe being overworked a little bit.
I mean, if there is one thing that our corners, especially our corners, are actually doing well on, is actually their tracking. They're tracking well. They're just making silly mistakes. Like they might put their hand on the wrong place and it'll be deemed as pass interference. It's just something like that, but I don't know.
Like you say, the tracking they're doing, you see them, and both of them, Byron and Jadobi.
Yeah.
They're putting their wide receivers outside the numbers, so they're doing their job. But it just seems to be at the moment, it seems to be the catch point where they're losing the game.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's
crazy, and it's definitely more if the wide receivers do try and come inside. It seems to be we were having the most trouble. Any catches going more outside to the sideline, we seem to be having that very well covered.
Yes, that's what I mean. Yeah, they push them outside the numbers, and it's fine. It's when it seems to be coming in onto the catch point. But more than anything, it doesn't seem to be that they're catching them, but just letting the penalties kick in. And it's
so frustrating. It's just so frustrating.
It's because you think if you're there, then you're doing your job. All you've got to do is just stick your hand in there.
I know. But again, see, because I used to play defensive line, and every time my coach would always say to me, "Is like, remember, you guys are the front four. Regardless, put pressure on that quarterback. Make sure, like, get in your gap. If it's a run, hold into your gap. If it's a pass, if you see it's going to be a pass, squash that gap in as quickly as you can. Put the pressure on the quarterback, and he's going to make the mistake. And we're barely doing it.
Yeah.
And the only person seems to be doing it is when we're talking about our defensive MVP is Robert Quinn. He seems to be doing it all from the right
and
the left side.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, you got it.
I'm thinking, like, am I viewing it as an I'm viewing it from as an offensive lineman, or am I viewing it as a defensive lineman? If I was a defensive lineman, I'm on the right.
All right, but sticking with the coaching then,
Sorry.
right? Let's get on to it. Don't apologise. You've had a beer, right? And whiskey, yeah. Right, let's stick with the coaching. Right, here it comes. The bit everyone's been waiting for. Jason Garrett. So, on a scale of 1 to 10, how hot is his ass right now?
Very.
Oh, I tell you what, if it's not 10, it's close.
I had to laugh today. Rex Ryan said this on with Pat McAfee. He's like, his butt must be blistered right now.
His what?
His ass must be blistered by now because he's on the hot seat.
Just with you saying about kind of that, and seeing a tweet earlier, and you coming out with some stats. See if I can get it up. If I disappear.
Is this Des Bryant's tweet? Yeah.
Pardon?
You talking about Des Bryant's tweet?
No, right. These coaches, right? So from least longest tenured to the highest. These are the names. And tell me one thing that they all have in common. So you've got Pete Carroll, you've got Jason Garrett, John Harbaugh, Mike Tomlin, Sean Payton, and then Bill Belichick. Those are the longest tenured head coaches in the league. Who is the odd one out and why?
Jason Garrett, because he's not won a Super Bowl.
And Garrett's been in the job 10 years. He's won 2 playoff games in 10 years. I like the guy, but his arse is well and truly ready to be.
Yeah, especially when you're seeing Joe Thomas and Malik Collins walking straight past him.
Oh, that was
like when I saw that, I was like, damn, he has lost the dressing room, for my personal opinion. You know what I mean, though. It's like body language can tell a lot. Like,
oh yeah. I mean, that was one of the questions in the mailbag. Mark Patterson asked it. I mean, I may as well ask you guys now. Do you think Garrett has lost the locker room at the moment? Then
I think he slowly is. To be honest with you, like,
yeah.
From the looks of that last night, it looks like if he's not lost it, he's
on the verge.
A very tight rope of
yeah. Okay.
And if I was Jerry Jones, it was my birthday, we're away to the Jets against an 0-5 team. I would expect us to absolutely smash these people.
Oh yeah.
And if I was Jerry, after seeing that clip of players going past your head coach like that, I'd be like, okay, something's not right here. I need to address this.
Yeah. And I also, one of the other ones I heard is there wasn't just what we saw on the sideline. Somebody I was speaking to was telling me that in the locker room after the game, nobody shook Jason Garrett's hand. Or there were players that were ignoring him and not shaking his hand when they were leaving.
It's not good. I can't remember the exact tweet that Jay Slater posted out earlier on, but it was, she spoke to somebody about this kind of happening. They were like, not probably from what they're hearing, but check back next week.
Yeah.
So it's
like
if it's coming or their eyes are on it, are they?
Yeah. I know the one you're on about. I posted that up in the.
I couldn't remember the exact one, but I know.
So for you, right? If he's not here at the end of the year, give me 2 coaches, right? One who you think would be the head coach, whether it's somebody within the Cowboys or out, and who would you want it to be? And you can't Belichick. You can say that name. You're allowed. It's the only time you're allowed to say a player, a Patriots name in the show.
I think there's been a lot of names fired around, haven't there? And there's one. Was it? Is it the guy from Oklahoma? His name?
Lincoln Riley. That's what I was going to say.
Now,
I'll take him in a heartbeat.
Now, yeah, he's a good coach. The only problem is if you look at this roster, you could essentially say this roster is ready to win now. So, no disrespect to him, but you bring somebody like that in when you're in a rebuild, you can stab yourself for it. So for me, somebody like Mike Tomlin, if you could have him.
Yeah. If it was someone that was already in the NFL, it would be Mike Tomlin, but I don't see him ever leaving Pittsburgh. To be fair, like he's very cushy there. The only time he would ever leave Pittsburgh is down to the money, really.
Yeah. It's a shame Peyton's being tied down because I think he would have.
I know that would have been perfect because he is like. Is he not actually a Cowboys fan, Sean Payton?
Yeah.
Like.
Sean Payton was in Cowboys staff at one point as well.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. So here we are then. So last question on Jason Garrett, then we get into the mailbag and we'll wrap this up. The last one is: do you believe at this point now, the Cowboys with Jason Garrett at the helm, the playoff grip that he's got is getting away from him to a point of panic?
I hope not, because I've still got money on it. If the Cowboys get into the playoffs, I'm guaranteed $1,000. So, I hope so.
Yeah. What do you think, Jake? Playoff grip?
I think
loosening, disappearing, getting away from us.
I'm probably going to give him an easy ride this week because the Eagles can upset anybody. I think it's next week. I think if we lose to the Giants, I think we need to press panic because those are the games you should be winning.
Okay. So you guys ready to hit the mailbag?
Yep, let's go for it.
Right.
All right, then we got Rich Gillett. Is Dak's value decreasing with each loss, do you think? So we're on about re-signing him, I assume, yeah?
I think Jerry would use any excuse to try and get him on as a cheaper deal as he possibly could.
I would say yes. And it's the media are actually doing a good job of devaluing him, to be fair.
Yes, agree.
And that's the again, NFL stat cutthroat. You can have 3 amazing games and you're regarded as MVP. And now the next 3 games he's now back to being an average quarterback who's not worth even 25 million.
Yeah.
So it's and that's the way how agents run things, like look at things as well, what the media's saying and stuff like that, and despite what stats say, you know what I mean? But end of the day, it's into what Jerry and Steven and the whole Cowboy staff, what would they truly believe his value is as. So
I mean, a lot of people from what we've been told as well, is that there's a lot of people thinking Dak isn't the man for the job. That was something that we specifically told. Yeah, that actually came out. But anyway, here's another one. Whether that's just a spin to devalue him, though, I don't know. Here's one for you as well. He brought up Byron Jones, right? Do you use him to trade for a stud left tackle? So he's thinking maybe perhaps Tyron Smith's getting towards the end, or do you trade him for a draft pick in 2020?
no.
If you're going for a stud left tackle, it's going to take you a lot more than Byron Jones. Look what Houston had to give up to get Tunsil, and then you can always look on the flip side. Where's that 2020 going to be? Is it going to be high? Is it going to be low? You're not guaranteed to hit on anybody, so I'd probably say no to either.
Yeah, I would definitely say no. And also, we've actually been very, very good when it comes to drafting linemen over the past couple of years. Not necessarily that they've not really always had to come in the first round. I mean, don't get me wrong, Lyle Collins was projected to be a first rounder, but we got him as an undrafted.
Yeah, that's right.
And who else did we get? I'm trying to think of players back in the past.
The Goodwin last year, I know he's not played, but he's supposed to be high on the Cowboys. He's on the favour China, so there's a lot of potential to come from him.
And again, it's like there could easily be like first round prospect offensive linemen in the second and third round. It's just down to need end of the day. And so I'm not really that particular. Like if we were to trade away Byron Jones, I would expect a good couple of picks at least, but I would not trade him. No, I wouldn't trade him.
Okay, so this is from both Stephen Mountford asked this question and Ian McLaughlin, saying that we were speaking about the head coaching situation, that if we were to cut Garrett now and we put Chris Richard in there, would we be keen on him as a head coach?
It's a hard one. Like I like Chris Richard. I love his enthusiasm. He will definitely bring more fire to the team, absolutely, compared to what Garrett's doing, just clapping away as usual. But it's the offensive side. What does he do offensively? Because that's the thing. Like if we want to take Richard, like what can you provide? Like what is your experience running an offense? What type of scheme are you going to run? I mean, there's so many factors to consider.
Defensive and all of it,
And he might have preferred players that Garrett has, and maybe and you know what I mean. Like for example, he might even drop Prescott for Cooper Rush. Who knows? We don't even know.
Yeah, that's
like,
true. What do you think, Jay?
You know what I mean? So it's a weird one.
Yeah, Jay.
I think if we were in kind of a Redskins situation where, I mean, they've absolutely flaked at the start of the year, then I'd be like, yeah, potentially, because you can see what you've got. But I touched on it last week that I was wasting the talent we've got by maybe not changing the head coach. So probably not to kind of contradict myself, but I think I'd look at it if we were 0-5 at this point, because we've got nothing else to lose. But Yeah, 3-3, but we're still in a playoff situation. As much as it probably pains, I think you've got to ride this out a little bit longer and stick with Garrett. But I say,
Despite how painful that may be.
Yeah. And then the last one, right? Just give me a one-word answer here, and then we can wrap the show up. Graham's asking, which position is underperforming the most in the last 3 weeks? Jamie, go.
D-line.
Paul, go.
Nose tackle, more specific.
See what he did there?
Yeah.
I like it. Yeah, well, there we are, mate. So hopefully what we've done is we've made everyone relax. Like we said last week, it's where we all come together, we breathe in and breathe out. And let the healing begin again.
And wait, don't think we just turn to the magic stuff.
There it is. There it is. The official UK Cowboy sponsor.
So yeah, Jägermeister, if you're listening right now, we would love to be sponsored. Thank you very much.
We are beholden to no one right now.
We're
willing to listen to some offers. Thank you.
Can you have a little flashcard? Do a little promo.
Yeah. But yes, that's it then, guys. So we'll wrap the show up. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Jamie. Make sure as well, guys, follow us on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, wherever else you can find us. We're everywhere at the moment. But yes, don't forget, pre-game show for the big game coming up with Lauren later on in the week. But for now, guys, thank you very much for joining us, and we'll see you all later on in the week.
See you all later.
All right, man. All the best. Catch you later.
See you later.